Hey everyone, Chad with Data Prep U here. I thought I'd give you a quick little recap of my exercise 153 from the Alteryx Weekly Challenge. Now, this one was a pretty interesting one because it was kind of touching on creating an analytic app. Now, if you're not familiar, analytic apps are a way for you to kind of create a set of questions for other non-Alteryx users to potentially go through and answer those questions to run Alteryx workflows. Often it's used on things like the Alteryx server. But in this particular case, it's relatively simple and it's geared towards the Oscars that just happened a few days ago. So in this case, what we had was a list of the Oscar nominees, Oscar winners, and we had to create an analytic app that allowed you to show or choose a category, and then that category, once you selected run, would actually present you with the winner itself. Now, it actually uses a couple of different things here, and including the reporting tools, which aren't commonly used but can be incredibly powerful, just because of a couple of different reasons. The main one being that you can, I've heard some people call it burst, or kind of group things to create mass reports that are dynamically changing based off of some sort of criteria. So in this particular case, what I decided to do here, I'll kind of zoom in here a little bit, is I created a pretty straightforward app. I went a little bit smaller than some of the other folks that were on the community for no other reason than just to try to create the simplest workflow possible. So really starting with just a drop down here that had all of my values in it that would essentially update a text input tool joining into the actual Oscar winners. If I were to do a manual run of this, what I end up with is actually just the award category. In this case, I decided to use the short film animated or animated short film category for my test, which would then go into a joining on the existing awards categories to determine who the winner was. And then it would go through into a couple of different find replaces depending on whether or not it was a human winner or a movie winner. Now, I did that separately because I found that doing a find replace on just one of them actually ended with something that wasn't quite right. You would, if a movie was selected, you would actually get something different than if a human was selected, or if it was a human-based category. So essentially just did something really simple here, essentially to create a quick little text input, embedding my image directly in that text input tool, which is something that a lot of people aren't quite familiar with, but you can actually embed images directly in there as opposed to using the image tool itself. Just kind of, again, simplifying things, unioning everything together, because essentially we are only going to have one value, one record as we run things through. And the result being that it creates a PCXML file. Now, you may be asking what a PCXML file is. PCXML is an Alteryx native format for reporting. It allows you to export or convert your PCXML file into a PDF, into Excel, into Word, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. And then finally, the one last thing that I would like to really point out here is whenever we actually go into the app view, it's kind of a little difficult to see here, but the app view actually has a little notification or a little label here that says, and the Oscar goes to. Now, the top piece that says, please select an award category, this is embedded directly in that drop-down tool, but the Oscar goes to piece is not. For this, you have to open up something that many people aren't really aware of, and it's called the Interface Designer. You can actually do this by using keyboard shortcuts, Control, Alt, and the letter D as in dog, or designer. But what this does is this allows you to add additional parameters such as a label, an additional link, maybe grouping other parameters together. So lots of different things that you can actually do within this Interface Designer. It also has this really critical debug mode that allows you to essentially set a set of questions or answer a set of questions, and what will happen is it creates this debug version of your workflow with those questions answered. So essentially changing the parameters, changing the tools in what they're actually using. So then you can figure out, what issues am I actually having? How is this affecting my workflow? So that's essentially my Weekly Challenge 153. Tune in next week for 154, which I'm actually working on right now. Looks like a really good one by Alteryx Ace, or suggested by Alteryx Ace Mark Frisch. So once again, tune in next week. If you like what you see, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I will be posting my solution for you to download and take a look at. I would encourage you to also add in any sort of comments, letting us know, what potentially you might have done differently in this to simplify this or make this a little more straightforward. Thanks again, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to your week.